So let's just get into the fucking, like, the Q&A part, right? Let's just do that. Let's just talk. Okay. Because I don't want to, like, I want to talk about the films, but we've been giving people advice for film.
That's right.
Going.
That's right. And this, I think, piece of advice can probably extend beyond film festival going and just sort of like regular, I don't know, conversation.
Here's a tip. Just because someone says they want questions doesn't mean you have to ask one.
Right.
If you don't have anything insightful, if you don't have any sort of like original take on the thing that you just watched or participated in, it's okay to be quiet. It's okay to listen to the filmmakers tell their story. In fact, if you don't ask a question, they'll fill in stories. The question should be...
They're in the storytelling business.
I mean, what's the funniest thing that happened on set? Tell me some cool anecdote. Like, how did you get connected with this person? Was, I mean... And, like, what was it like working with X, Y, and Z? We have these fucking stupid questions. We watched this film called Electra today, and the questions were just bonkers.
Well, they were self-aggrandizing, too. I think that was my biggest problem, was that, like, when you ask questions in a way to try to make yourself sound a certain level of intelligent that you're not. Well, here's the thing. Like, if you have to try, then you're probably not. And also, like, no one cares that you know a big word. And I know sometimes, like, I'm guilty of using big words, right?
Sure.
But here, yeah.
No, I mean, I am as
you're
well.
You're like, yes,
oh,
you
Jesus
are.
Christ.
God damn, Brock, shut the fuck up, right?
Brock 5-syllable Kingsley over here.
But if we know that if we can tell that you're using it just to use it in front of someone you're trying to impress, who's not going to ever remember you.
Right, they're not going to cast you in the film.
Right.
They're not going to ask you to, like, invite you to a premiere.
Yeah.
And, like...
But also, like, respect those people's time as well.
Right?
So, I mean, these filmmakers that come in and do Q&As, it's like, do you really think they have nothing better to do than to sit with us and answer silly questions?
Right. And yeah, just the first question that was asked, I think, was like, yeah, your film's a lot like Saltburn and Knives Out. And then the question was basically, hey, do you agree that your film is like Saltburn and Knives Out? Can you tell me so? And then he was asking about comps, or like I could not understand what,
like, comparable films, I think.
Oh my God! Oh, is that what he was asking?
I think.
Then go fuck yourself with your fucking abbreviated
comps,
industry slogan. You fucking hack. Jesus Christ!
He just.
I don't even. I mean, like, who the fuck knows, right? But like,
he was.
These are people who just
he reads the trades,
right? Every day, man. He's in it, and he's just like, he knows. Well, if he ever meets Spielberg, man, he'll be able to talk that lingo. Oh my God!
So when you were looking at dailies,
right? So do you find most of this stuff come out in post prod, man? Like, I mean, like. Barf and barf. Just fucking. These people suck.
I know it was not cool. It was not cool.
And I will blame the main actor in that, because he did immediately go to like studio or audience questions when the moderator and the person who introduced the film seemingly like they had more questions.
But again, like, God love her, I don't think she was comfortable
she was
up there, and I think
it
seemed like he was trying to. Okay, I don't want to say that I don't want to sound like I'm mansplaining, like, for a mansplainer, and I'm not saying he was a man, but I think he was trying to. I think he could
alleviate
sense
some of the pressure.
Yeah. So
it's not his job, man.
I know. No, you're right. I mean, actually,
that's perfectly capable of getting out of uneasy situations on her own.
Yeah, she does not need a man to save her or rescue her from an uneasy situation. So I totally agree.
Look, if it's a burning deep, like, you have to know question, ask it. Ask it in a concise way, that's fine. But if it is just a fucking, I want to be seen.
Look how clever I am.
Right. the questions that aren't questions, the questions that go on forever, the questions that, if you have to explain the question, it's not a question. Just keep going. Just say, I'm sorry. I didn't know why I opened my mouth. I got excited about the opportunity. Please go on to something else.
Yeah. If you need to appear clever and if you need to talk for a long time, get your own podcast. And you can just, just do that.
Just talking to a microphone. That's what the fuck we do.
That's exactly. Look, we know who we are.
Right. And for the record, we didn't ask a question. Not one. Not one. And look, I would have liked to have had to sat down with them to talk about the film.
Actually, yeah.
But I want to have a conversation. I don't want to have to ask, okay, well, what was it like filming in Italy? Like, okay, go. I mean, whatever.
Why were there several questions about that when it was answered even before the first question was asked?
Right. They talked. It was.
They talked about it, and I mean, but that's the thing, right? That is an example of when you're clearly not listening to the people who are talking.
Right.
And you're just like, yeah, can you talk about your process shooting in Italy? And they're kind of like, we kind of did.
And just make sure that the question you ask is a question you want answered. That's information that you feel like is going to enhance your enjoyment of the film.
Right.
Because wanting to know how many days or how long it took to write the script is just trivia. It is not.
That's true, right.
It's not realistic, and you're not going to do anything with that data. It's not like you're going to go away and you're going to show, hey, man, I watched this film, Electra, it was great. Also, it took them 2 months to write. Did you know that?
Yeah. Cool.
Right. Oh, is that important to the plot or something? Like, no.
I feel like that's like a fucking party trick.
I just asked them a question, and that was the only question I could think to ask. So, and they gave me the answer. And now I know that. Now I know it. Right? It's an IMDb trivia bit that I can. Just shut the fuck up.
Right. We think trivia is actually knowledge. Right? We think like being able to recall a fact passes as knowledge. I mean, maybe sometimes that's true, but otherwise you're just regurgitating.
Yeah.
Right? You're just filling in a blank, right? Or filling in a bubble for A, B, or C. It's not. Yeah, there's no real knowledge there.
We're such dicks.
I know we are total assholes. But again, like here's the thing, we understand this.
But
look,
right.
I'm not saying that it makes
it's not okay. Yeah, it doesn't make it okay or
right.
but also it's better that we know.
Yeah.
Other than not know and be the people who ask questions at Q&As that don't have any fucking. You're a dick too. You just don't think that you are, but you are.
Yeah. Right. And like for the record, I did get to talk to them after the screening. I told you. So they had their dog. So the filmmaker, the director, and
one of the
actors and producer are a couple, and they were there and they had their dog, which was like a poodle, a little poodle, I believe. And this dog was just like hanging out like during the Q&A, and so we're back in the lobby, and I saw the dog, and I really just wanted to pet the dog, and I made sure to ask like, hey, is it okay if I pet your dog? But then had a really nice, like, lovely conversation with the two of them, like an actual conversation.
Did you ask them what it was like to film in Italy?
I did. I was like, hey, I'm curious about the palazzo that you filmed in.
Right. Like how many?
Was it like a Friends or something? Sorry, that was. I don't know why. I just inserted the speak in that.
All right, so let's talk about the movie.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do that. Let's. That car scared me.
It's his screaming while driving now.
I know.
It's
like, oh
my
god. Some big black Corvette just sort of came out of nowhere, as they do.
Right.
If it was a Trans Am, it'd be cooler because it'd be like Knight Rider.
Right. Or Smokey and the Bandit.
Yeah. All right. So Electra. I don't like. Where do we start with this? This is a film set in Italy, kind of timeless.
They filmed it at a friend's palazzo.
They filmed it at a friend's palazzo. They really wanted to talk about what it was like to shoot in Italy, in the process of that. But we get this kind of the basic plot is a journalist is in Italy doing a profile on a rock star, kind of like Lothario rock star, right? And he's there with his girlfriend / photographer. And the rock star has his number one girl with him
Right.
as well, who's a artist, performance artist, inheritor of said palazzo that most of it's filmed in. And then there's twists and turns.
Yeah, and some cool like visual flair and like that's inserted in different areas. There's a lot of camera tricks and
editing tricks.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, please.
I was just gonna. I mean, so we get to understand very quickly that the journalist is there to steal a painting that has been recently acquired by the rock star. You've come to find out why much later in the film, and his supposed girlfriend is not his girlfriend. She's just a hired hand that's come along to help him steal the painting.
She's a wannabe actor,
right? And I think she's there to like legitimize him, right, as a journalist, but also as a potential couple that can connect with this other couple.
Right.
And so they go about doing Italian things. There's some really like funny bits that they do. Like their interactions with one another. I just felt like to me that I felt like the ending fell flat for a movie that was wanting to be the talented Mr. Ripley.
Yeah.
I think the ending and how it all kind of like wraps up like so. I don't know, like it just landed like a thud with me. Like how certain characters were dispatched and certain characters moved on. Yeah. I really enjoyed everything up to that point, but I felt like it was kind of I felt like they didn't know how to really kind of finalize their film. And I think the things that they talked about, specifically Godard but also Talented Mr. Ripley.
Yeah.
That movie has so many. It's a book series and there's been filmed a bunch of different times. But if we just take the Minghella one, right? That movie ends up on a twist, on a twist, on a twist. Like if nothing else, at least like there is an escape and an escape and an escape, right? Where Ripley's always just barely skirting,
always almost getting caught, right? And that is a trait of the books too.
Right,
yeah.
and this is not like that. It's not, and not that I was. I mean, look, I felt the Saltburn kind of ties and the Ripley ties too.
Sure. Well, I mean, but how? It's hard not to, I think.
Right.
When somebody is clearly masquerading as something else with someone of a kind of different station.
Right. So, I just felt like there needed to be a little bit, like it needed to be more. The ending needed to be more clever.
Well, and I think colder.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, more calculating.
Yeah. And it just seemed like there was a murder, and then...
And they all seemed reactionary.
Right. There was... There was nothing, like, out of all of this, and where the journalist has to know his plan is going to eventually unravel.
Right.
Especially as they get closer and closer. And I just felt like there needed to be a little bit more double cross. There needed to be
I really thought that the faux girlfriend photographer was going to pull off a twist.
Right.
And I know that in the end, I mean, she kind of does, but I thought it was going to be an actual calculated kind of double cross there.
Right.
Because I think that's what I would want from that film, is that all of a sudden she kind of takes this kind of control. Right.
Right.
Yeah, and then her riding off in the sunset is more satisfactory.
It almost feels like really only one character needed to die, although that would have been really mean for that one particular kid, for the journalist to die, right?
Right.
And be the only one. But it feels like he's the only. I mean, like all of them have certain demons, but. I don't know. I get just like I said, I didn't connect with the ending, and I thought there were so many fun set pieces.
Oh yeah, I do too.
So to be 100% fair, I'm definitely going to keep an eye on this director.
Yeah.
And I think that the next things that she does, I think are going to be, hopefully just as visually interesting, and hopefully the story just lands a little bit better for me than this one did.
Hella Mazar?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
And apologies if I'm mispronouncing or just getting part of it wrong. But no, I think she has a real visual style already, and I think she's playful.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, okay, except for the ending, but also like clever.
No. There were a lot like the scene where they're miming the dinner. Although I didn't really actually
cool.
get like why they would be involved in that. It was a very cool looking scene. And then the scene where she talks about one of her favorite scenes, which that's a good question, right? What was your favorite part of the film? What was your favorite? Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Kudos to that person who asked it. But because I mean, it's a question that gives them the opportunity to expand about the fucking movie.
Right.
How many days did you did it for? How many days did it take to film? 14.
Yeah.
All right.
But also, and that gives us more insight into the filmmaker's kind of like vision too.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So there's this sequence where the performance artist and the actress are kind of like where the performance artist is trying to get the actress to kind of come out of her shell and like really kind of dive into her acting because she's been scared about it. And so is the performance artist as well. And they're dressed as like these bizarre costumes. Where one, she feels like she's got arms that are coming out of her shoulders that are holding up a severed head above her own head.
Right.
And they're just kind of like, but also kind of more like puppets. They weren't really obviously grotesque. And then the moment, so they're trying to like do all these acting exercises, and then the actress gets upset, pulls the thing off of her head, and throws it down. She's like, "Hey, I made that." Right? It's a really funny scene. Me. Like that was.
Well, and the performance artist is played by Maria Bakalova, who I think is just really fantastic.
Yeah.
From Borat, from Bodies. I'm kind of game for anything that she's in. Whatever she's doing.
It's just a really distinctive look. She's kind of cherubic and like,
But then she does this like where she can play childlike really well.
Yeah.
But then also she'll get a little more cold and steely, and I like. Yeah. I think she was really good.
I think the costumes design was really great in this. I think like. I think they had a really good. You're gonna hear
it's like
screaming while raining.
Screaming while driving in the rain.
Isn't that a self-help book?
I think so, yeah. The art of screaming while driving in the rain.
That'll be our first help book. Our festival first help book.
Yes. There you go.
Self-help book.
A festival guideline.
Right.
Screaming while driving in the rain.
Yeah, I mean, I think all the pieces were really good. I just didn't think the story really. And again, I enjoyed it, but I just didn't feel like the ending really kind of stuck.
Right. It felt rushed. It felt maybe.
Well, if you're doing it under 14 days, right, you're going to be limited, right?
Yeah.
You're going to be limited in what you can and can't pull off. And at that point, once you've put it in the can for industry lingo, right, then it's going to be difficult to you can't go back to the Palazzo to pick up shots, or reshoot the ending or anything. Like now it's all on a green screen with the Palazzo in the background.
And I think we've seen with films like this. I mean, that's the hardest part.
Right.
Yeah. Is sticking that kind of twist or even sticking that kind of shock ending, right?
You have to be such a tight writer to be able to pull that off and to only capture what you've got on the page, right?
Yeah.
There were certain sequences, I don't necessarily know if I went back to watch this, if everything really truly holds up. There's sequences where the journalist is kind of bumbling, they drop a tart on the street. There were some sequences I just didn't really sync with, and I felt like there were we really like this. I think the writers might have had a problem with falling in love with their own with their own creation.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of sequences that don't really move the plot forward. There's just a lot of we're going to live in this moment, and sometimes that could be really cool.
Yeah.
But they almost all have to land, and you all have to be kind of enamored with them. Otherwise, it's going to pull you out a little bit. So when they're playing badminton, I mean, that's a cool looking scene, and it kind of I do think it's really the things that they did with the the score on the bottom of the screen and the voiceover, play-by-play.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things that worked, and I don't think they overused those. I think they did a really good job of inserting them, making this movie playful, and not overplaying their hand with relying on cutesy fun stuff, right?
Yeah, I do too, and I think when it first started, I was kind of worried.
Right.
but then I was like, but then I quickly kind of felt like reassured by all that. And even like the Game Boy kind of usage of things, because I mean, in a way, this movie is a game, right?
Right.
I mean, the two parties are playing different types of games, but it's still a game. So,
yeah.
I also think some of their, I think they wore some of their influences on their sleeve.
Yeah.
Right. So kind of sitting in these moments feels very much like what a Godard might do.
Sure.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Or you know, the writer Daryl, is that his name?
I think
I should have just like not said anything.
Weiss, right?
Weiss,
yeah,
right?
I think it was. No,
Daryl
Daryl was
Weiss.
his name on screen, right? I think his name was Darren in real life. I think his name was Darren.
Shit, I'm sorry.
We apologize.
If you're listening, I'm very sorry.
We liked your dog.
Yeah, no, you guys are awesome. But or the badminton scene, which calls back to Antonioni's blow up.
Right.
Which they said during the Q&A. You can see where maybe some of those got them in trouble, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just kind of getting stuck in that kind of structure-wise. So.
Yeah. Overall, I it's a good, solid watch for me. But like I said, I don't. There was a lot of it. Just I said like there's a few things that just didn't land with me. And so that's Electra. Keep an eye. I do think that has a potential for getting distribution.
I do too. And the guy that played Milo in the film, and I can't remember his name, and I'm driving, so I can't look at my phone.
Jeff Farthing or something like that.
But has been in Spencer, has been in. I mean, to talk about a bigger film. So you have these people who've been in things,
right?
So I mean, this I think. Yeah, has potential to be seen.
Yeah, I could see this being like a pickup on movie or or like Fandor and having a life there.
Yeah.
People talking about it. I've definitely seen worse on movies. I mean, like in other places as well.
Of course, yeah. No, 100%.
All right, so let's go on with On the Eighth Day.
All right, so the last film of the
Todd,
day,
if you're listening, we're blaming you.
Was On the Eighth Day. We didn't plan on staying for this. We had decided like we were going to go see Electra and then call it a night. But we ran into Todd Jenkins, and he said, "Hey, let's go watch this together." And look, if you haven't met Todd Jenkins, it's really hard to say no.
You can't say no to Todd.
It's nigh impossible to say no.
Unless you're a casting director, and then people can say no to Todd.
But they shouldn't.
Right, they definitely should not.
They should not say no. So
On the Eighth Day was made by a pair of female filmmakers. It was a Texas-based film. Wanted so desperately to be blood simple or at least film noir. And it's a
heist movie.
Yeah, kinda. I mean, so we start off the film, and there's a guy in prison. You think that he's going to be some sort of heavy, and then you forget all about that he ever existed.
Yeah.
But he's sending out two henchmen. One of them is his nephew to go collect some money from a. He's in jail, but he wants to get his money from a old job way back in the day. And they go and say, "Hey, look for this person," and they mistakenly think that it's a man, which I don't know why he wouldn't have just told them it's a female.
Right.
Like, my partner's female.
Right.
Go get this money.
Maybe it's because he said this safecracker had the nickname Helen Keller.
Right, because she was a miracle worker.
Right, but he never uses like she pronouns, right? I mean.
Right. No, and so. The whole joke with the miracle worker and Helen Keller is that the miracle worker was the person who was able to get the information, to communicate with Helen Keller, and that is a weird, very specific running joke in the movie.
I know, right?
And I'm like, who is getting this reference?
Right.
Like, even if you get it, it's not significantly funny, right? It's not like it's a giggle moment, but to put it 2 or 3 times in your film, it just does. I'm like, in in 2024, like, I mean, people know who Helen Keller is. I'm sure people know who, but no one's seen The Miracle Worker. I mean, like, yeah, right now. I mean, it's a weird joke, and it's a weird callback.
In fact, the bigger Helen Keller trend is a conspiracy that it was all like made up, that she didn't exist, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like, just like the fucking Roman Empire didn't exist. What the fuck is wrong with people today? Where these are like conversations on TikTok.
I don't know.
Maybe that's why they want to ban TikTok. Is because on TikTok it's like, you know, the Roman Empire didn't exist or Helen Keller wasn't real.
So these two affable, henchmen, whatever, go to this small town in Texas. They're from Denver or wherever
or
they're
Chicago.
from. Yeah, Chicago, right. They go there, and it's this podunk town. They find out that Landon is a female. They confront her. She's also an alcoholic. They confront her. She's blown through all the money. It's been years, so she's blown through all the money on bad gambling, etc. And they're like, okay, well, you need to get the money now. And she's like, well, I got one idea, and the whole idea is to take down a check cashing place. And of course, then it's a series of the guys are also, and again, the twists of this come walking down Main Street,
telegraphed, yeah.
Right? I mean, they fall for two extremely hot women for this small Texas town, and they're like, we've never been anywhere. I'm like, you're both models. Like, you could have easily escaped.
I don't believe that. I believe that you've been on photo shoots before.
Right. There's a corrupt cop in town who turns out to be some sort of perverted jackass, which is also another weird thing
like
to
a
throw
weird
into your
one-off.
movie. Right. Like, there's no reason to have him be a pervert outside of then you needed a reason to kill him at the end. But you could have just they could have been cold-blooded killers. You didn't have to have him be a pervert in this.
Well, it just does nothing. It adds nothing to the story.
Right. There's a stupid subplot about one of the girls' cars being broken down, and that this guy, the mechanic who's in love with her, fixes her car for essentially free. That it only exists so Elvis can fight him.
But you didn't need the car thing for that. All you needed was this guy coming up to her at the bar.
Right. That whole scene did not need to
because
be
look
filmed.
at her. Everyone's in love with her.
Right.
I mean, they just are.
So it turns out the girls are in on it. There's a whole bunch of double crosses at the end. But the problem is this is an 89-minute movie or something. It's 90 minutes, close to 90 minutes. And literally nothing happens for the first hour and 15. Like, it takes so long. The heist should have happened in the middle of the movie.
Yeah.
And then there should have been a whole bunch of double crosses. Like, have you not seen the movie Heist? Like, it lays it all out for you.
Right.
Like, what I don't understand about these independent filmmakers is that you have clearly all these influences. Steal the fucking beats.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Right? All of these movies have 3-act structures, right?
Yeah.
They're all the same. It's okay to be derivative, especially if you are an independent filmmaker and you're trying to make your name. Take Blood Simple. Take a Mamet film. If you want to make a film noir, take the ones you love and just change the names, change the plot, change the dialogue. But
I mean, you already do that, right? I mean,
you
have the two women coming out on top, right?
Right.
I mean, so there. All right, you're doing something different. Oh, but yeah, take
what works,
again, right, and use it in your own way.
This, like I said, this movie, the heist not happening until the very. All of your action is in the last 20 minutes, and even then, you can't set up all of the double crosses that need to happen and have them make sense. Like, this is not, So there's no tension in the drunk driving pullover scene because everything has to wrap up so quickly, right? That that she's not gonna have to get the money taken from the cops. It's only a way to show that the money's not actually there. That,
right.
But God Almighty, every time you see someone stare into the camera essentially, and you know they're gonna get shot off camera. Like every time that someone was pointing a gun at somebody, someone else got shot. There's a great Saturday Night Live skit where like Bill. It was like a Lonely Island one where Bill Hader and Andy Samberg and Fred Armisen are like all shooting each other, and it's like, dude, what you say? Oh, it was like every time someone got shot, they would have that song that would come through, and they were all double crossing each other. This was what that was like, but it wasn't funny. Like it was just like, oh, well, he's walking away, he's gonna get shot in the back. There's a guy pointing a gun, he's gonna get shot in the back. It was so bad. It was like, and it's just,
I know.
It's just like these are just. I mean, like the worst thing you can be as an independent filmmaker is be boring. And look, I get it. You made a movie, hands out, down, we'll clap, right? It's not like, I mean, you did something great, but don't be boring.
Yeah.
Like, and it's weird that we continue to have like people come out in front of the films and talk about them like they're solid films. I just don't understand. Like I'm not saying you got to shit on the films that are in your festival. And because
that would be a bad
it's a bad it's a really bad form, right? It's not like McDonald's goes, yeah, we're not great. I mean, the food's not great, but where else are you gonna go?
But you know what?
But you're here, so you might as well get a Big Mac, right? It's fine.
And some fries.
Right, get some fries. You'll like those.
Look,
everyone likes the fries.
They really do.
But and what's also funny about this movie too is it's called On the Eighth Day, right? And it has this little like line at the beginning. It's like a scroll across the screen kind of thing. It was like, and on the eighth day, man created greed, which is a stupid, like it's all dumb. It's all dumb. But you know that this is going to take place over 8 days, right? And it's like the first 2 days take an hour, and then we start to speed. Like
everything else is
day 5 and 6 are just like you see a guy wake up
like
and you see a guy go to bed, right?
Yeah, it's like one scene.
It's like, wait a minute, we're not spacing this out at all.
I know.
Like, and that's the thing too. You have to think that like that was just something that okay, we've got this title and we've got this conceit.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I can't pace my movie properly, so I'm stuck with now. I can't like say, well, it's not. I can't not put in day 4, right? Or day 5. Nothing happens on those days, but I've got to at least put the words on the screen that day 4 happened and day 5 happened, so that finally when we get to the heist and it's day 8, it's just like, oh my God. Like, every day should have been substantial. Something should have happened every single day, right? A twist should have happened every single day. You know, another wrench thrown into the plan should have happened. Someone should have found out information about somebody that they weren't supposed to know every single day.
And also, like, going back again, so like that Saltburn comparison, I know that it was the other film,
right?
But going back and showing us that like she had written that Eve, the model, had written the Jonesy heavy in jail. What the fuck?
Right. I mean, like, because by that time, like you said, we've forgotten that Jonesy's in.
And I don't really care.
Right.
I mean, like.
Right.
But also showing me, like, oh, this is how they knew each other. And, like, what we were supposed to pick up
on. This is some sort of Kaiser Soze-esque moment of, like, oh, shit.
I know.
We know
all we know is she wants to get out of fucking town. Who gives a shit why?
Right. And we know that she's in on it. We know that she's not some innocent. We know that she's not some rude. How do we know? Because there's only 6 characters in this fucking movie. Of course we know. And this is why the heist has to happen so much earlier, because we're all sitting there waiting for the heel to turn.
Right.
Like, if you're setting your audience up to expect, like, M. Night would never do this shit. Like, if you're setting your audience up to expect plot twists and character twists,
give us the...
I mean, like, don't make them wait for it.
Yeah.
I get it. You're low budget, and so the heist has got to be. I mean, the heist is gonna suck, right? But like, I mean, shit. I would have been more surprised if the cash guy was in on it, right? If the cash checking guy was actually in on it,
right.
Like, have these people. It was just boring. It was
a frustrating film.
Right.
I think because so much of it was rote, cliche, and then telegraphed.
Right.
So sorry to be assholes. But
yeah, well, you know who we are.
I was gonna say, right? Like, if you don't by now, it doesn't take long. I think listening to us to know sort of like what we're gonna say.
Right. I
most
do
of
want
the
to watch
time.
more movies with Todd, although he talked a little bit, and that was fine. It was fine.
Yeah,
But it was
yeah.
like, when they played Light Your Candle by fucking the Black Crowes, he's like, how the fuck did they afford that song? Like, there's so much, like, he was shitting on the plastic guns that they were. It's like, that doesn't sound like a real gun.
Yeah.
Like, that's a plastic
That's
gun.
a
Why is
plastic
it-
gun.
right? It's like, I've heard real guns. That's a plastic gun. And then there's a sequence where,
The song's hard to handle.
oh, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yes, I
don't know.
ram. It's an Otis Redding
I know,
song.
I know,
fucking
I know.
Black Crowes. Anyway, I know.
Look, he was married to Kate Hudson at some point, so I mean, I'm
I
going to
know.
give him some sort of props. But there's a sequence at the end of the movie that's supposed to be at night, and Todd's like, "Why are they trying to pretend this is night? Like, it's a blue sky and white clouds. Like, they just darkened the film, film. Like, it's like, yeah, there's no reason. Like, I don't know what they're doing here." And like, there's no reason really, besides the fact that it's like 3 or 4 in the morning. But really, there's no reason that this couldn't be in the daytime, right? I mean, like, by the time that the cops come and everything else, it could have very easily. And I get it, lighting is expensive, and
Sure.
so you've got problems there. But then don't write that into your script, right? If you have,
Because you have to write around.
right,
those
if you have
things.
filmmaking issues, there's look. So the whole conceit there was that the money that was being delivered to the check cashing place happened at like 3:15 in the morning.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, she was lying, and it happens at 2:30 in the morning. But here's the rub: that does not have to be the case.
That
The
was
audience,
right,
we
like-
would have believed that if it showed up at 2:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing. And
Yeah.
okay, and then you're already in a podunk town, so there's not going to be tons of traffic.
Right.
So yes, it makes it a little bit more difficult. You have to be a little bit more clever in your writing. But if you already have the limitations of we can't film at night because
Right.
we don't have the lights, we can't light these scenes at night, it's going to look like shit, then don't
Don't
film
do
at
it.
night, right? Make everything happen in a bubble. It's fine. We will forgive the plot inconsistencies there. Like, no one's
Right.
really going to question. People are going to question, like, why did Eve know Jonesy?
Yeah.
Like, in that whole, like, well, then I've got to explain this through dialogue.
Exposition.
Right? But like, no one's going to question a store opening up at a particular time,
No.
you know, or
closing at a particular time.
right. I
Or
mean,
only
like,
opening a couple days a week.
right, happen on a weekend or whatever. Like, there's all kinds of things we would have believed. Don't make your film intentionally look bad.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, moviegoers want to believe, right? No, I mean, like, we
Right,
go
just,
to
just
movies.
in general, right?
We're just like, we want to
Oh,
forgive and we
you can
want to believe.
Right, you
That's
can
it.
extract DNA from a mosquito.
Awesome.
In
Yeah,
amber.
totally.
All right, sweet.
Totally.
Oh,
right.
yeah. Oh, and we mixed it with frog DNA. Now we got dinosaurs. Okay, yeah, I'm 100% on board.
Totally on board with that. Show me the dinosaurs.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's what I mean. Like, it's not. Look, we want a certain amount of verisimilitude, but it doesn't have to
There's
be.
one of those big words again.
I know, I'm such an asshole, right? Trying to make myself sound smart. Anyway, you get my point.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I'm sorry. I don't mean it's like I didn't. mean to derail
No,
you,
it's
but,
fine. It's fine. It's late. I mean, it's,
But if there are any budding filmmakers out there
who are listening
like
to us.
that are listening to this and need help, like, one, we're happy to do a script review for you,
Yeah.
but like, I mean, just plain and simple, don't make your movie intentionally look like shit because you wrote yourself into a corner.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's just, like, even if you said 2:30 in the morning and then all the scenes were in the daylight, yeah, we probably would have questioned that. But at the very least, we wouldn't have been going, hey, why are the clouds in the sky, white and at the middle of the night? There's a lot, like, I feel like they underutilize the girls in a lot of ways. Like,
Yes. Well, the one just, like, disappears.
right, yeah.
I mean, they're clearly, like, okay, I was trying to... Were they, like...
Lesbians?
Are they lovers?
Well, because that's the synopsis, and I swear I read this was an LGBTQ film, and there's really nothing. I mean, not that whatever. If you're going to put it in the synopsis, then I would expect there to be some sort of overtones.
Yeah.
But they're friendly with one another. They both have low cut
They
cleavage.
seem like friends, right?
Right. It also seems to be kind of insulting to like have those two be like lipstick lesbians in this movie.
I know,
but, like,
right? Yeah.
But especially coming from female filmmakers, right? So I can't imagine that there's really like if you walk away with this and there's no you didn't take away any sort of homosexual overtones, then I wouldn't expect that. That's fine because I don't think there were really anything that was really pointing to that.
But also you brought this up, and so it's female filmmakers. And you just said the women don't get a lot to do really.
No.
They're just there to like look pretty, and seduce the men.
Yeah.
Because men are stupid.
It's a weird film.
Like, yeah, and like saving all of that like reveal stuff until the end doesn't make her seem smarter.
No,
it doesn't.
It makes her seem opportunistic, but it doesn't make her seem. I mean, like, it's like one of those things where you wait until everyone else dies and you step in and shoot the last man standing.
Yeah.
Because no one thought anything of you anyway, so they just let you. So yeah, the heel turn there is like, everyone thought I was stupid because I had big boobs and they wanted to fuck me, and so then I get away with it. I'm not sure that's the message we want to be sending.
Right. No. Right. I mean, like, have them fill roles that aren't so stereotypical.
Right.
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 That's the.
Yeah, almost every like beat this film took it just seemingly was like the wrong one, and like because again, you know they're not just girls that are
You're right.
looking to hook up with dudes that are rolling through town.
Right.
And it's so yeah. I know we don't have to keep.
No, please. I need to. Yeah. I gotta get. I can't.
Yeah.
It's You have work to do.
I got some work to do. Yeah.
I get to go home and go to bed.
So yeah, guys.
One more day. One more day of the film festival.
We got, 2 more film festival films and 1 other film that we will probably talk about in another podcast at a different time. But
yeah.
All right, kids.
One last driving while screaming or screaming while driving. Right. All right. We'll talk to you next time.
You have been listening to Why Does the Wilhelm Scream with your hosts, Brock and Jason. If you liked today's episode, do us a favor and rate, review, and subscribe in whatever application you use to consume podcasts these days. You can reach us by visiting whydoesthewilhelmscream.com. If you are in the DFW area, we would love to see you at a Fort Worth Film Club event. You can learn more about those and find a full schedule at fortworthfilmclub.com. And you can learn about my foundation and how we are trying to foster the next generation of film lovers at realhousefoundation.org. That's REEL housefoundation.org. Till next time,